Hi, my name's Lindy and welcome to my channel. My website is www.lindycowling.co.uk, email info@lindycowling.co.uk, and the title of the short video this evening is everyone that activates through a twin flame template, or is everyone that activates through any template necessarily a twin flame or necessarily part of that template? So is everyone that activates through the twin flame template a twin flame? And the answer to that question is no. And that is the end of the video. As always, thank you for watching. No, just joking. No, the answer to that question actually is no. So just because somebody activates through or imprints on a template of consciousness to facilitate their rate and vibration and frequency and activation of consciousness in alignment with that compatible frequency does not mean to say they are necessarily part of that template, but that they have imprinted upon it. So sometimes you can have people, of course, that activate through a template of consciousness, that retain that template of consciousness, that use that template of consciousness as a springboard to their own evolution, their evolutionary rate, their expansion, their ascension, and they retain that template of consciousness within them, let's say forevermore, and almost springboard upon it like a trampoline. But there are just as many people that do not retain within their consciousness the template that they imprinted on or activated through, but merely imprint on it to facilitate a state of consciousness and then expand up elsewhere or in other directions. So you can also have people like in terms of the twin flame template, just because somebody comes through that entry point or awakening point does not necessarily guarantee that they are a twin flame, but that they've come through that entry point. They've passed through that, or they've imprinted on it as a form of their awakening. It's also on the same subject, you can have camouflage connections, let's say, for want of a better word, false twin flames, catalysts, all sorts of gizmos, all sorts of connections coming through that entry point that still does not make them a twin flame, but that come through that entry point again. The resulting being one has imprinted, one has the possibility of imprinting on that state of consciousness. But some of these categories I'm talking about here, and even like narcissist and very psychopathic personalities and traits that go with that, that come through that template, they come through it with different gizmos attached, and not very nice gizmos attached, for example. And there are some downsides, obviously, to connecting with people with those characteristics, even though you can come through something like that and transform and heal the shadow side of things. Still very challenging. But what I was going to say there, which I got a bit sidetracked on, is you can come through that template, and that twin flame union template is notorious for having been tampered with. Tampered with it meaning it has all sorts of connotations on that is nothing to do with the purity of frequency or soul expansion or love or divinity or any of those things. In other words, that is a template that has notoriously been interfered with outside of it, and is crawling with parasites in it and outside of it and all over that template. That would be entity-wise, that would be thought form-wise, that would be belief system-wise. that would be energetically, that would be disruptor energy wise, and so on and so forth. So that is a template that has been tampered with, notoriously. I've got because I'm just switching that heater off a moment because I'm starting to overheat here a little bit. I've got a lovely log burner looking kind of heater right next to me here because the snowflakes are falling outside, but I'm suddenly overheating. So twin flame union template is not the only template that has some outside interference on it and negative connotations. But I'm going to comment on that one, seeing as I have been extensively involved in that template for a number of years now. So that is a template that has been tinkered with, tampered with, interfered with, and that has, rather like fleas on a dog's back, parasites in it and outside of it and all over it. And a very common phenomena is those personalities or people that come through that template or deliberately activate that template or are encouraged towards imprinting on that template or using that template for their own ends that come through there. The most common personality characteristics are sociopaths, psychopaths and narcissists. For all the reasons that I've explained numerous times on this channel, why that is and why they are the characters that are most commonly used by disruptor energies, but they also come through that template because it is great feeding ground and fodder for feeding really on the unrequited love energy and the cycle of suffering programs that run within it. When someone connects with one in their spiritual field and then they don't come together or they stay on the perimeters of one another's lives. So there are genuine phenomena that take their place within that template like that, but there are also orchestrated ones. And so it's a great feeding ground. And I have to say, I mean, I've said this in the most loving way before, it is also a notorious feeding ground for, let's say, if one uses the right spiritual language in a predator-like form, for people to fall for it. So I am sure that there are females that do that to attract males, but I can't think of any examples of that at the moment because they're not known to me, but I'm sure there are. But I know there are definitely males in that arena that are using it to their own ends by saying what they think females want to hear. And then females like swoon en masse because they have the misconception that just because that person came out with a certain thing that makes them someone of the heart or spiritual. So just using that as an example as well, with that predator-like parasitic energy within there that is rife within there. So in answer to the question, can one come through as an activation of one's awakening, awareness, consciousness on their route to becoming fully conscious, on their route to becoming authentic? Can one come through a template, any template, but for the purposes of this video, the twin flame union template, and not actually be a twin flame, but have imprinted on it intentionally or non-intentionally, negatively or positively, in a polarized form or a non-polarized form? The answer to that is an emphatic yes. One can come through that template as a springboard to their awakeness and their of authenticity and their consciousness. But one can also come through it as an aspect of taking on within their consciousness that template for the point of their own evolution, but also as an aspect of service to others. And on that note, I'm going to keep it short because I'm going to do another very short video this same evening. I'll love you and leave you. And as always, thank you for watching the channel. Thank you for resonating, and thank you for supporting in all the ways that you do. See you again, actually in a minute. Bye.